Welcome to Beyond Bylines, a podcast of the Bristol Herald Courier. Beyond Bylines is presented by Food City. Nobody does food like Food City. I'm Robert Sorrell, a reporter at the Bristol Herald Courier, and today we're with Rhonda Chafin. She is the CEO at Second Harvest Food Bank in Northeast Tennessee. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Okay. For those who have never heard of Second Harvest Food Bank or don't know what you do, can you tell us a little bit about the organization?
Yes. So Second Harvest Food Bank is the regional food bank, and we are part of the Tennessee Food Bank Network. There's 5 of us in the state of Tennessee, and we make up the Feeding America Food Bank Network, and that's a nationwide network of food banks and other organizations like food. I want to say we call them cooperatives that also provide food to food banks. So we make up that network that's part of Feeding America.
Okay. And how long have you been with the food bank?
I'm starting my 34th year.
Wow, okay.
And so I feel very blessed to be part of this organization for that length of time. It doesn't seem like it's been that long.
Okay, and you were telling me a little bit about some of the information you had on food insecurity here in the region. Can you go over that a little bit with us?
I can, and as far as food insecurity, in in our network, the food insecurity rate nationwide compared to our area, we are above that average. When you look at some of our counties, like Hancock County, the food insecurity rate is far higher than that of some of our other counties, like 24%. And when you look at even the food insecurity rate for children, it's like nearly 30%. Which is higher than the state average and the national average. And then we have, other counties like Johnson County, 18%, Sullivan County, 16%, which is the average, which is 16%. And then you look at Carter County at 18%. So we have many of our counties in Northeast Tennessee that fall above that threshold. But as far as food insecurity overall in our region, we are definitely above the state and national. But as far as Second Harvest and what we do, we're part of the Feeding America network, but we were established to provide food for local organizations that did not have access to food.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like the distribution center or the hub, and we have many spokes as far as agency partners and direct service programs.
Okay. Those numbers that you were sharing a minute ago about food insecurity, why is our area higher than some, even though we have some counties that are below?
I think most of the reason in our area, it's definitely enough jobs, or jobs that are, really to help people get above that threshold of what we consider a reasonable compensation. And so many people, they're working, but they're considered low income, working poor in our region, and it's just not enough for them to live on to make ends meet.
Okay. And how does Second Harvest Food Bank support those individuals? How do you get the food, and how do you distribute it?
As far as this organization, first and foremost, we want to make sure that people that are in need of food, whether it be the working poor, families, seniors raising grandchildren, veterans, all of those individuals that may need food assistance, we want to make sure, first and foremost, that they've accessed every government resource as far as SNAP, WIC. Those are the first line of defense. Those were designed to help individuals that fall below the poverty level and that don't have enough income to be able to have the resources they need on a regular basis. So we really try to make sure, first and foremost, that they have access or know of those programs. Then secondly, the food bank tries to really fill in. We help in emergency food assistance, as far as making sure that individuals, if it's not enough when they have SNAP or some of those other benefits, and then we have families and we have individuals that are just above that, just barely above that they cannot receive any of those
Mhm.
assistance, and they really depend on us as well. So our job is to make sure that individuals and families in our area have access to nutritious food if they don't have enough for them or their families.
Okay. Now, tell us about some of the specific programs that you do have.
First and foremost, our big program is our partnership with our partner agencies, and those agencies are church pantries, they're soup kitchens, they're children's programs, they're any organization that's serving individuals in some capacity. Um, you know, but they meet the standards of a nonprofit organization or a church. So that's our main focus and our core that we're celebrating our 40th year this year. Second Harvest is of Northeast Tennessee, and that was the core of how we were started, was just to make sure that we had the resources to be able to help and serve those partners. Now, from that time when we were established 40 years ago, we really we've really focused on those areas of unmet need. We had so many areas where we didn't have an agency partner, and that's when we started focusing on how can we provide food to children. So 25 years ago, we started the Backpack for Kids program called the FFK program, Food for Kids. And that program, we raise money, we purchase food, and then we in turn will distribute that food to schools that are willing to participate and identify chronically hungry children that they believe that go home at nights or on the weekends with very little food at home. So they distribute those packs that we give them to children. And so that's one of our programs that we really started after we started seeing we need to fill in the gap where we don't have those resources. Um, from that time, we continued to grow, and we saw other areas that we saw areas within our locality that people didn't have access. Maybe they were at the housing authority, or maybe they were seniors that couldn't, get to a distribution site, or they may be out in a very rural community and there was no agency partner to go to. So at that time, we started the mobile food pantry program. So we started taking our trucks into those areas and distributing food where we consider it to be an area that people can't access food and an unmet area. So we've really expanded, and we now have 80 mobiles that
Wow,
operate monthly
it's
on
great.
top of the around 115 agency partners that we also partner with. And those mobiles, operate. Some are veterans mobiles, some are senior mobiles that go into some of the senior housing, Section 8 housing, where seniors have no transportation. And so from then, we looked at other programs that we still needed to focus on areas of like child hunger during the summer months. And so in 2009, we rolled out our first program for summer feeding in Bristol. So we had one site, which is a federal nutrition program. And for us, it was our first time really participating in a federal nutrition program and administering that. And I think we served about 50 children through that program. And then from that time on, we've expanded that program into the region, into areas where maybe schools provide summer meals during June. We will pick up where they leave off, and we will serve in July. But then we also serve sites where schools are not in some of those rural communities, and we provide meals. So, it's a program that's continued to grow. Just last year, we provided about 160,000 meals in 10 weeks during the summer for children. And it's a program that we think has been very successful, and it has provided wonderful support to children in our region during the summer. Because we say to people, when we talk to them, they think maybe the time to really make donations is during the holidays. And it is true that families do need those holiday meals and those traditional meals, and we want to make sure that we fulfill that. But people don't think about that children don't get the backpack program and they don't get the free or reduced lunch for those 10 weeks. And families really struggle. So we say summer is the hungriest time of the year for families with
Mm-hmm.
children, and it truly is. And so that program has continued to grow. And then last year, we rolled out for our first year the a program that's an extension of that, and we call it our CACFP program, and it's the Child and Adult Care Program, and it provides meals after school or in the afternoon. And so for us, that's been a very successful program, which it helped us roll out our community kitchen. And so last year we unveiled our community kitchen, and that kitchen produces about 200 meals a day. It has the capacity to produce 800 meals. So we're looking for partners that feed children or are willing to feed children after school meals or summer meals. We look for, as long as they're a 501c3 and an established church, they can be a partner with us if they assure us they're going to provide summer meals for those 10 weeks, or they can say, well, we want to do it during 3 weeks in June or all 4 weeks in July. They can determine what weeks they want to do or all those weeks. But if they'll let us know that they want to be a partner, we will provide the food. And the great thing, it's all reimbursable. So every a food item that we purchase, we get reimbursement back, which is a win-win
Mm-hmm.
for us. Lastly, the program that we started 2 years ago, that's, I think, been successful as well, and that's the senior home delivery program. And we had so many seniors that would call us that could not get to a mobile food pantry, they couldn't get to one of our agency partners, and they didn't have any transportation or any support. They were basically stuck in their homes because they didn't have any family support to help them get food. And so we would receive calls where seniors would be, discharged, and the hospital had, also connected with us through a program called Unite Us and through Ballad Health. And that program has been successful in connecting us with seniors that have been screened for food insecurity, that we can provide them with food boxes. So we do home delivery for seniors that, just don't have that support for a food box.
Okay. So you have a lot of programs and a lot of people that you do reach. Do you have any data on the number of people that are helped by your organization?
Well, on the average, and we have higher months and we may have lower months, but on the average, we serve about 40,000 individuals. But what we also know is some of those individuals don't come every month. So when we were doing a hunger study, really identifying um, unduplicated numbers, we were definitely over 80,000 people that we're serving that are unduplicated. When we say on the average 40,000, those individuals may come every month, or we may have an individual that just comes once every 3 months. So, what we're looking at is unduplicated numbers. And, when you look at the food insecurity rate, that's well over 90,000, and we still have work to do. We still need to make sure that everyone has access to food, and that's our job. And we're going to work hard to do that.
So what are some of the challenges that you face in being able to do your job?
I think the biggest challenge that we've seen, it's been evident over the past 15 years, is the supply of national donations has been shrinking. It continues to shrink each and every year. So those national donations that we were getting, 40 years ago from maybe General Mills or from Kellogg Company, those donations do not come to this food bank any longer because those national donations are just not there.
Mm-hmm.
We do receive local donations from like Food City, or other retail grocers, and those donations are so vital to our agency partners. So we connect them with those retail grocers. They pick up that food, they take it back, and it gives them a good supply of food to serve individuals. But what we know is it's not enough. So one of our biggest challenges is to make sure that we have the food resources to serve all these people that are in need. And the best way we can do that is legislation to make sure. You're probably going to hear quite a bit as we go through the next year or so with the Farm Bill. If we have a strong farm bill, then we get government commodities that we can distribute to individuals. When those donations um, are decreased and those commodities, federal commodities, are decreased, then the only resource that we have, we've already tapped into local retailers. We have our commodities. The only other thing that we can tap into is resources to purchase food, and that's growing significantly. It's you can see on our chart and graph how that really grows, and you can look at the individuals, you can look at the purchased, and that purchased dark circle right now is at 25%. But I will tell you that was based on our impact report of 2025. 2026, that number has increased, and then we look forward to 2027, and we're even going to have to increase that even more. We just don't have the food donations donated to this food bank or any food bank in the nation. So we have to work very hard to raise money and go directly to manufacture and purchase that food. And we're doing a lot of that right now. The other thing that we do, and we're hopeful that we do receive some state funding that we use for national grown produce, and that's sourced in. We have to pay to pick it and pack it, and we consider that a national donation. But the other wonderful program that we haven't received funding yet, but we're hoping the state of Tennessee will support is the Farm to Food Bank program. And that program, we receive state funding and prior to that, federal funding to go to local farmers and purchase their goods, purchase their produce, purchase their beef. So producers and growers locally truly could benefit if we could receive state funding again. We haven't been notified, and to date, we don't have that funding right now in the governor's budget. And we've asked for that funding to be in the governor's budget, and it has not been. So we're hopeful that there may be a special appropriation, and they have it. They have our request. So that's for us. It's a win-win for the farmer and the food bank, and that will bring in additional resources that will be able to also serve individuals. So, as far as resources and what we worry about is really having the financial resources to continue on. And we work very hard to make sure that we have those things. And we've had some corporations, individuals, foundations that have really invested in our work to be able to do that. We were a Mackenzie Scott recipient. And so in I believe it was 2020, we received notification, and she invested in our work, and that has helped significantly.
Okay. Now, how can the general public or local businesses help the food bank?
Again, we think the most efficient, effective way is through a monetary donation. And with corporations, we're able to also, with monetary donations, acknowledge them on our website, acknowledge them through social media. We have, a really good following of social media individuals. We also have e-blast, and then we have digital that we work with also to get out there, to just get our name out there, to make sure that people know what the needs are, but also who supports us. And it's also in any of our literature. So you'll see on any of our newsletters or our annual report, you'll see all those that help us.
Okay. And when we were walking in today, we saw signs for where volunteers can go. How does that work here?
Volunteers are truly the lifeblood of this organization. They are the heartbeat of this organization, and we could not do it without them. From our board members all the way down to those individuals that help us during the summer months and in between. We have individuals that come daily. We have some volunteers that come here each and every day. They want to volunteer every day, and they do it. And then we have volunteers that may come once a week, once a month, or whenever they can with their corporation. But what they do is many things. They can pack, bag, sort. Mostly we're having them bag the food for kids bags that we provide. They're also bagging up our mobile food pantry bags. They're also packaging and scooping different food items that we get from one of our local manufacturers, LeClaire Foods, which is an incredible donor to us and local, and really the only
Mhm.
local donor that we have that manufactures something that's
Okay.
food related.
Okay, that's great. So let's say there is a family out there that needs help. Where would you recommend them go?
If a family um, needs help and they just don't know where to turn, they can call us. They can visit our website and they can see all of the partners that are on that site. It it we have um, what I consider a very good website that is interactive, and they can see exactly what county and where the partners are. If they don't have access to the internet, they can always call us, um, and then we can refer them to a pantry. We don't recommend they come here unless they live around the corner. It would
Mhm.
not make sense. But if they live in Johnson City, we just visit us either on the web or by phone, and we can refer them. We also have our United system, and we can put them in the system and connect them to other resources. We have over 400 partners that are on Unitas that are constantly connecting people to services.
Okay. And do you have any upcoming events or anything else you'd like to share with the
We
audience?
do actually. We have a couple events that are coming up, and the first Monday in June will be our golf classic, and that's sponsored by Bristol Toyota. If I can say that, I hope I
Mhm.
can say that. But they are a great sponsor, and they also sponsor our Farmer and Chef event, and that'll be on the last Sunday in August. And that event also is wonderful farm to table. We have local farmers and chefs that come together. It's called The Farmer and the Chef. And they basically come together and provide um, all of these delicious entrees and desserts that people just love. And we have an afternoon of wonderful food and entertainment.
That's great. And thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching Beyond Bylines. Beyond Bylines is presented by Food City. Nobody does food like Food City.